You're listening to Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to Whispers of War, show number 48. We have 2 more shows to go and then we are at show number 50. I can count, I think. I'm your host Sil, and today let's just jump into World of Warcraft like we always do. How was my weekend? Wow, I did a lot actually. I managed to get to 120 on the Rogue, on the Alliance side, and I have to admit I was not really feeling the leveling, if I'm honest. In the beginning it was like, 114, I'll pause it until I have flying, and of course I got flying finally. It went a lot quicker than I expected, so I have flying, everything's easier now, I have to admit. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to quest and level, but that became very, very boring, and unfortunately there's no time walking up that period, so I couldn't do it, and at least not with time walking, because it goes so quick in those dungeons. And I just thought, well, I have no other choice to do this. But then I thought, you know what, maybe I'll do some other stuff. So I actually did a little bit of pet battling in Old World, just because I thought, let's smash out some achievements and things that I need to do. There's some quests there. I had a lot of heirloom gear that I had not done that before, because I'm always, or I used to be of the belief of, oh well, it's a new expansion, I don't need the heirloom gear to race through it, but actually, fuck that, I do. So I spent a lot of gold to upgrade a lot of my heirloom gear, because, I'm a completionist, I have to do all of it. I can't just do the rogue set, no, I have to do it for all the sets that I have, just in case, I get the loss of actual brain power and think, I'm going to level all of them, which I will probably do anyway. And I need the gear for that, the heirloom gear. So everything's been upgraded up to 120 now, in case I need to. And that made a big difference in leveling. I did some incursions. Is it incursions? Invasions. Did those. That really goes quick. And as soon as you unlock certain parts of your war campaign and you do those, that goes quick. I did a few island expeditions because that also really helps. And before I knew it, I was 120. So that went really quick over the weekend. I was really happy to have done that, after I wasn't really able to play much of the week because I was a bit ill, so I didn't manage to do much. And I wanted to make up for it. So played so much over the weekend and just banged out the 120, and then all the gear that I still had from what's it called? Not Zinashari, is it? Najatar. That's what we're talking about. I made it from a rogue. It's not even a bad set to look at, with the whole kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean undead kind of vibe. It's not too bad. So I did transmog it, I'll be honest. And I'm doing a lot of damage on her. I'm really enjoying Rogue at the moment with that gear and with everything upgraded, and I'm slowly working on my Azurite trades, because my necklace is not very high, because I really focused on just getting levels. But I've actually PvP'd a lot more, and much more world PvP than I'm used to. I tended to switch on and off on my druids, just because sometimes it was fun, but when I was just rep grinding, I thought, I don't need battles. But I'm having so much fun on my rogue, and I am that player. I am that annoying player who will just appear behind someone who tries to run away and then just, stun them and just kill them. I really am enjoying that. So yeah, I've done a lot of killing, I guess. But it was a lot of fun, so not too bad in WoW. I got my rogue where I want it to be, I got my flying, and I've also, and I say that now sort of confident, finally picked which class I'm going to level in Classic, and I'm going back with my first love, which was the Druid, because I want to capture that moment of everything I did as a Druid, I want to see my class quests again to change into different animals and probably feel the pain. I think gearing a druid could be slightly easier than with other classes, just because you're kind of unique with your gear sets, so even though you have to get a lot. I want to have the option to tank. I know that druids are not that great later on, but in the leveling dungeons, they're not that bad. So I want to try that. And, you know, I might go resto again because I haven't healed in donkeys, and I managed to do it in vanilla, so why not again? And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it now that I've made this choice. And now, of course, I'm like, okay, well, what do I play on the Horde? So I've already decided it's going to be a troll. Male or female, I'm leaning more towards male because female trolls in Classic look a little bit scary. And I am thinking either a hunter or a mage. And that is just because we had some amazing troll mages back in the day. And I really had so much admiration for some of the players I used to play with. So that's really why I am inching towards that. But I do love the way that hunters have to manage their pets and do the whole pet collecting, because we won't have the small pets anymore really to collect for battles. I think you can still buy them, but you know what I mean? I feel like I want maybe a pet. So yeah, still debating. I do think that trolls look best in male. So maybe I should go for a troll hunter. But we'll see. But I'm just happy I made finally a pick for Alliance, and considering that I only have like 2 or 3 weeks before the Classic launches, I can already tick off a few things that I wanted to achieve before this time. I am going to do a bit more PvP, I think, on my rogue, just because I'm enjoying it so much, and doing lots of world quests. I think if you're still grinding rep, this is the perfect week, because at least in the EU, the world quest stuff is up. So, you know, if you do 20 quests, you get like lots of, I don't know what you get. Do you get Azerite stuff? Probably, but you get a good reward for it, and it's one of the easier ones to achieve. And then, you know, you also, I think it's the sign of the emissary, so every quest that you do, you get more reputation. It's a perfect time to knock out that flying, so please do that before the reset. And yeah, I just had a blast. I've had a lot of interviews with some amazing people. I had a lot of fun with that. I'm still having a lot of interviews planned. So I'm just going to end this now with another amazing interview. I spoke to the lovely Reina. So I'm going to leave you with that interview, and then I'll come back afterwards and we'll discuss all your opinions that you had on Twitter. So I'll see you on the flip side. And with me today, I'm being joined by a very busy lady. She has a lot going on, but I'm very happy to talk to her. Welcome, Reina.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
It's lovely having you. I love hearing all these new voices. It's so I want to say refreshing, but I don't mean that in a nasty way to all my old guests who've been here before, like 5 or 6 times. I'm looking at you, Marty. You know, it's just nice hearing so many new voices and getting to know more people from the WoW community.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. It's nice to be heard by other people too.
Exactly. That's why I do a podcast as well, because, you know, I like hearing myself talk, I guess. So, Reina, why don't we start the interview, and can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? You know, who is Reina?
Okay, I am, all of my intros are about the same. I am a geek incognita. Like, if you ever met me, you probably wouldn't have a clue. I taught public school for a long time, but I've been playing games from the time I was 4 years old, playing D&D as a half-elf priest with my parents. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of fell into the community, started with Guild Wars Original, and then moved into WoW, and have been a WoW player for on and off for 13 years.
Nice.
On and off for 13 years. I'm a portrait photographer. I am a mom. I am a grandmother. So I'm one of the old lady gamers. And I teach, and I work from home, so I have a lot of flexibility, but not a whole lot of socializing.
Well, I think that is one of those things that comes with working from home, isn't it? I hear that from a lot of people who do that.
Mm-hmm. It is definitely one of the pitfalls, especially for somebody who is normally as extroverted and social as I was always called a social butterfly growing up. And for me not to have connection. So WoW for a very, very long time, WoW and the community were my social connection. I lived in on the Navajo reservation in northern Arizona, where the total population of the town was less than 2,000.
Wow.
And that was very bizarre for me, from always having places to go, people to see, things to talk about. And so I actually started playing Guild Wars as a way to kind of escape this very small, insulated community and find people to talk to. So I've developed relationships with people in the community over the last 13 years that I'm still friends with, like best friends, visited cross country, use as references for my son's enlistment paperwork. I mean, all kinds of stuff that are, so the community for me is definitely more like an extended family. And that's been a blessing for 13 years. But yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to be at home and not have that connection.
No, I can imagine. So you said you are into photography. Do you mind telling a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I am a portrait photographer. I specialize in legacy or heritage type magazine shoots. With the world, everything is digital right now. I could probably ask anybody to see their phone and they'd have upwards of 1,000 photographs on their phone and none of them printed. For me, it's not really a photograph until it's printed. And there's so many times in our lives where we've made a change or we have a growth and we don't see it for ourselves. And the passion behind my photography is helping people remember how amazing they are, how strong they are, how fantastic they are, how beautiful they are to the people around them when sometimes they forgot. I used to model. I modeled when I was younger. I was involved in that community also. And as I got older, had children, went through a very, very serious depression and anxiety and isolation. There are no pictures of me because I was always the one with the camera, but I didn't want to be seen on camera. And now I look back, and if something were to happen to me today, what images would my children have of me? They wouldn't. They wouldn't have them. The only thing they would have are very, very sad pictures, where I was depressed or I was really heavy after having kids or going through the relationship that I was in, and they would not remember mom as she was. And I don't want anybody else in the world to go through that. You deserve to see how absolutely fabulous you are to the people who love you. And that's why I do what I do. So when I photograph people, it's a whole experience. It is, I help them pick out the wardrobe that's going to flatter them the best and express their personality the best. We do hair, we do makeup if that's what they want. Some people don't want makeup. We spend weeks planning. I design the shoot around them, the background, the poses, the finish on the images, and my entire goal is really to make that connection and have them see themselves as the people who have them in their heart see them. So that's what I do.
That's really beautiful how you describe it like that.
Thank you.
No, I love that. That's such a nice way and just a beautiful way of describing it. And I think you've proven a valuable point. I think you're right, because I was just thinking I have lots of pictures on my phone. And some of them are actually really special moments, and I just don't do anything with them, with the risk that they might even, get lost or anything like that, or get deleted. And I think it's not bad to go back to like the actual photography. So that's so cool. Well, at the end, because I'm sure that people are like, oh, I need to get my pictures taken now.
Yes,
we'll talk about.
And I do travel. Good. So call me. I will come to you.
I wish you could come to the UK for that as well.
That is on my bucket list. I actually am planning a trip to the UK, Scotland, which is where the majority of my family history is, Scotland, Portugal. and the Basque provinces, but going through England as well. So I guarantee you that I will let you know, because that's a
Absolutely.
trip I'm making.
Absolutely. I'm going to make use of that.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll put the links and everything at the end of the show. So let's go into the whole World of Warcraft side of it. Now, I want to know, are you a Horde or Alliance?
I have been Alliance since day one. I couldn't make myself play Horde if I tried from the very beginning. I don't know if it's the aesthetic of it. I really don't know. I'm a very visual person. Like, I'm the person that has multiple characters of the same class, but different races because they're different specs, because I play them different.
Yeah.
So I couldn't make myself play Horde. About 6 years into it, a large group that I played with for a long time wanted to change, and they all server and race or faction changed to Horde. And I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. So the husband and I, we went to Chandris and played Horde, and we got to max level, and we raided, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't like it. And that was about Cataclysm time for us, and I hated Cata anyway, and so I was just like, I need a break.
Yeah.
And then I came back and made a panda. Because that's what you do after saying that you're not going to play a panda when the panda's announced, and then you come back and you make a panda.
Yeah. I second that feeling. So you're still main is Alliance.
Yes, main is Alliance. Only thing I still have like 8 characters on Chandris that are Horde, but they're maxed out at 90. I haven't touched them in years, so.
Fair enough. What kind of class and flavor of class do you play at the moment?
I have mained healers, like I said, since I was 4 years old. That's what my personality is. It's what I do. I like to play God, and I like to punish people who are dumb. I don't heal dumb. I'm one of those healers that if you stand in shit, you're gonna die. I'll probably warn you first. Like, move. You need to move. If you don't move, I'm not healing you. Okay, you're not getting heals. So I like playing God. That's fun. But no, I really do enjoy the healer class. So I have mained healers for a very long time. Occasionally, I need to take a break from the stress of healing just because it is a lot of mental stuff, and I just want to pew pew. So I have my little gnome mage who is adorable, and I just love to blow shit up and stand in things.
I think I know several people are cheering just hearing gnome mage. I
love her. She's my favorite like looking class, and she's a frost mage. She's been frost mage since the day she was made. Everybody's like, frost is horrible. I don't care. I love it. It's fun. And I like to be the one that pisses the healers off and stand it when I'm playing a mage, because it's just easier not to move. Just heal me. I'll be all right. I do also have, I like to do a lot of the hybrid classes because I am kind of a control freak. And when I play with my husband, and if he's tanking, or if he's very, very good, but he's very bold. He's one of those bold tanks that will pull everything in the room because he knows I've been healing him for 13 years and he knows I can handle it. But when he plays a DPS class, he very often forgets that he's not the tank. And if the healer's not healing him, my hands, all of my my keybinds and my shortcuts are itching to heal. And I'm like, you heal him, please. Heal everybody. You're not healing me. So I have shamans as well. So I have an LA shaman that I play, and so I can throw out the extra heals or the AG when necessary. So those are my top 3 play. I have everything.
Okay.
I have played.
What's your favorite healer, if you have to pick? Which healer do you really enjoy?
Mistweaver. I loved Mistweaver when they first started, when it was really about figuring out the best way to maximize everything that you had. When you really, Mistweaver was a very difficult class to play well because it was a thinking class. And I love that because my brain is always going 90 to nothing anyway when I'm healing. And I'm bored now as a Mistweaver. I hit like 4 buttons, and it's all key bound, and occasionally I'll throw out something else. But I really like which one am I going to throw out? Why? Which one am I going to use as a buff to boost the heal? I started, obviously they didn't have monks when I started, so I played a resto druid. I played resto because nobody would take her as a boomkin in raids. They like, we don't want you. So I started playing resto, and I was for when my husband and I led raids, we raided 5 to 6 nights a week on 3 different characters with 3 different difficulties minimum, and we basically trained and geared probably 70% of the raiding players on Dark Iron at the time. They would come through, we'd train them mechanics, we'd get them geared, and then they'd leave for the higher tier guilds. But I used to solo heal 25 mans on my resto druid.
Wow.
And I loved it, and I was raid leading at the same time. Like I said, I'm kind of a control freak.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. But when Monk came out, I really liked it, and everybody's like, Monk's a terrible healer. I'm like, I love it. I love the feel of it, and I haven't done any other healer since. So occasionally I'll go back to my druid, but it's not really the same. I really do enjoy the Monk healer.
Wow, that's really, really cool. Okay, now we're going back in time.
Okay.
13 years. How did it all start for you? How did you get into World of Warcraft?
Okay, so like everything with me, there's a story, because I don't know how to tell anything short. Like I said, I was living on the Navajo Reservation in northern Arizona in 2006. And I was going through a separation with my husband. He was overseas working. I was done with the marriage, but I couldn't file for divorce until I left the reservation because he was native and I would have been out of luck. So I was playing Guild Wars regularly, like 24/7. And I was guild leader. I was mission leader. I did everything there. And one of my best friends happened to tell me, she's like, oh, so I met this guy doing drunk Draknar's Forge Run, which if you've ever played Guild Wars, that was like the top guild or the top gear place at the time. And she's like, he's a really good tank and he's really funny and he drinks. He's drunk all the time. He does all this. Well, we ended up binding to the guild. He ended up becoming my main tank. And a year later, we ended up moving together. Now we've been together for 13 years. So in January of 2007, we actually were going to a Guild Wars guild party in California, and we got stranded and just hung out. He'd never really left like Tennessee and Mississippi, so we went out to eat, we went to movies, I introduced him to sushi, and we started playing, and we started playing Guild Wars together, and we realized we really enjoyed it. But then we started getting a lot of drama. My ex started logging into my account and starting stuff, and I'm like, dude, whatever. So we wanted a fresh start. At that point, my younger brother, had been bugging me for 2 years. Come play WoW with me. Come play WoW with me. Come play WoW with me. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm playing Guild Wars. Come play WoW with me. Come on. We got a great guild. Come play with me. It's like, fine, finally. So while we were on vacation, my husband and I now were on vacation in California. We both bought a copy of WoW. And it was right before or shortly after BC came out, but we were playing through vanilla. And joined the server that my brother was on. He was part of the Penny Arcade Alliance, which was an alliance of about 16 guilds, both Horde and Alliance. And so there was a PvP arm, there was a raiding arm, there was a dungeon arm, and like you could put out a call if you were being griefed or ganked anywhere in the world, and you could put it in the Alliance chat, or like, we had our own chat channel, and they would come and save you, which was fun as a brand new player who didn't have a clue what you were doing. McBeef is attacking me, come get him. And like 50 people would come get him. So I really got involved in the community, and it was amazing to have 16 guilds worth of people cooperating. They obviously had issues sometimes, but finding people in this mass of virtual community that you could build groups with and community with and work towards a common goal and make friends with and laugh with and joke with and find people that you really get along with, that was really amazing for me. And as much as I loved Guild Wars, I couldn't jump, and I jump all of the time. I have to jump. And so WoW was like, hey, I can jump and I'm not stuck on a path. This is fabulous. And I've got cool people to play with. Wow. So Yeah, so I fell in love with it really because of the feeling of community and building something together with a group, like starting from scratch and raiding, raiding together, working our way up to 25-man McTheraton's Lair, 25-man Gruul, and figuring it out together, all of the different steps along the way was awesome for me. And so that's kind of what hooked me at that point.
Nice. Now you have said that you played on and off, and yes. We're just going to jump into the main topic. So the main topic for this interview, and for those who are new, I always have my set questions, but I always ask the guests what they want to talk about, because I can come up with, let's talk about PvP, and if you're not a PvPer, that kind of kills the interview. So I throw it always at the guest. We
wouldn't have anything to talk about other than I don't do it. I hate PvP.
So I thought, let's see what the guests come up with, and you actually had two really interesting topics to me. So it's going to be a bit of a mix of that, but one was raiding and leading as a raid leader, as a healer.
Yes.
And coming back from a WoW burnout. Now, which one would you want to start with? The burnout or
Well, the burnout was probably a direct result of raid leading and guild leading as a healer for 10 years.
Okay, well, let's talk about the raid leading as a healer. So how is that? How was it? Because I can imagine, one, you're a healer, so it's already stressful.
Yes.
And second, not for anything, but I've heard that many women struggle being taken serious as a raid leader.
Yes, and that's actually how it started. Because when my husband and I first started playing, when we really built our raid team, we actually co-tanked a lot. We were both paladins, and we co-tanked a lot. Well, I'm a talker. He is not. I mean, in fact, when we met, and we did dungeons, he would be in a different TeamSpeak channel, ghost linked to me, where I was the only one who could hear him because he didn't want to be in a group of people. Like, total opposite of me. So we would be in a raid, and I would be giving directions. Okay, I need the so-and-so, and nobody would listen to me. And they would wait for him to say it. And I'm like, excuse me? No. This is how it's going to be. You're either going to do it, or you're not going to be in this raid. I've got 15 people waiting to be pulled into this raid for gear. And so my husband got to the point where he would leave vent. He's like, I don't have to hear it. He and I talk just fine. And he would leave vent, and they're like, where's he going? I was like, it doesn't matter. He's not the raid leader. All he needs to know is what I tell him. And it took him doing that drastic measure before people really started to listen to what I had to say. And so one of the things that I found when we were co-tank leading, I did not like being that close up and not being able to see the whole raid. And I enjoy tanking, but it really takes a lot of focus for me. So one raid I was always co-tank with him, and the other 3 I was healing. And so, because I had another class, I had like multiple tunes that I could heal on. And so it got to the point where I just started bringing my healer all the time. I have issues with like depth perception almost on flat screens. So if I'm close, I can't figure stuff out. I'm blind, and small screens when we were playing didn't help. So as a healer, when I'm raid leading, I can zoom all the way out because it doesn't really matter what direction I'm facing. And I can look down on top of the field of play and see where people are standing, see where the mechanics are, see if somebody needs to move, or if somebody's getting attacked by a mob that the tank doesn't have. And for me, I'm already doing all of these things in my head. It just became like second nature, where if I wasn't raid leading, I'd pop up and say, so-and-so has a mob, tank needs to get it. I think one of the reasons why it transitioned so well into where because I have been the main raid leader for 11 years.
Wow.
For the groups. I think it's my tone of voice almost. I'm very calm in raids. I know you can be stressful, especially when you're pushing heroic, early on, or starting to do mythic. It's very, very stressful. And I've always been told I have kind of a calming voice. So I think that helped. But I'm also very confident when I speak. I fake it really well. Confidence really well. That comes from 10 years of teaching public school, man. If you don't act like you know what you're talking about when you get in front of the kids, they will eat you alive. And raiders are basically the same way. So, but as a healer, like I said, my brain was already doing all of these things. And so it was a really easy transition just to start saying it, just to start speaking it. And so I really started getting organized and planning things out. And obviously, my main tank, I would have a second command who was like, kind of did a lot of the maintenance stuff for raid, like did the invites, did the, I'm also one of those guild leaders that provides everything for my guildies.
Wow.
Yeah, like I'm like, you guys, if you want a herb, fine, drop it in the bank. I will make all of the pots. If you have food, drop it in the bank. I will make all of food. I have every profession there is. I'm one of those people. I have all of the mats. I have all of the profession. I just like to do it. It was just something for me to do. And so I'm like, all right, everybody get your food buffs. Everybody, do you have your enchants? Everybody, do you need a gem? I've got my gem cutter standing outside. I mean, like, that's the kind of thing that we did. And so as a healer, I don't know, it just felt like I was already taking care of everybody. I might as well do it officially.
That sounds like a lot of responsibility, though.
It's a lot of responsibility, especially when we started doing like master loot and stuff. I was like, I'm not doing it. Y'all gonna have to do something else. We have a chart on who got what gear and when, and I'm like, I can't take anything else in my brain. You guys are gonna have to do this. And that really did ultimately lead to my burnout halfway through Legion. I basically quit. We were raiding twice a week because I was working full time, had kids in school. My daughter had just had a baby, and she was in college and living at home, and then married. Anyway, drama. And then there was some drama in my guild group. I had a very, very, very good tank. My husband quit a year prior because he's like, it's too much of a job now. I can't do it, just stress-wise. And I was the person who didn't want to let anybody down. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the community part of it, and my groups, like some of the people in my raid, I've been raiding with for 9 years.
Wow.
And so it's, it's the same kind of group of people, 9 years, 5 years, 3 years, it's people that and I didn't want to let them down. Well, we had recruited this, he was a brand new player. He was a warlock at the very beginning and he had no clue what he was doing. We taught him how to play warlock. And then one day he's like, I feel like being a tank. And he played a bear tank, and he was horrible at the beginning, but he listened to a lot of advice, and he became one of the top bear tanks, mythic bear tanks, after leaving our raid because of drama. And it was draining. It was mentally draining, but it got to the point where I couldn't even log in. I would look at the login screen and have anxiety attacks.
Okay. Is that how you would describe that? That's when you knew, okay.
Yeah, I was done.
Now.
I messaged all of my raiders. I said, you guys, you know all the raids. You're working. You guys are doing great. You can do it without me. We've got plenty of people. You've got great tanks. You've got, we have plenty of healers. We had a lot of people who played hybrid classes. And I said, I need a break. I want you to continue raiding, as you were, but I can't do it anymore. And I got, every message I got back was, we're not raiding if you're not raiding.
Aww.
Which I was like, oh God, now all the pressure. I can't stop raiding because they all love raiding. And so I tried like 2 more days.
Yeah.
To show up. And the guy that was my main tank that I've been raiding with, for probably 3 years, he was like, honey, you can't. He's like, I can hear it in your voice. You've got to take a break. You've got to take a break. And so I was like, you're probably right. My day job was it was physically and emotionally draining. And then I came home and did that and was dealing with all that stress and then kids. And it was just way more than I could handle at the time. And I just said, okay, I'm done. And that was right before the Argus content dropped in Legion. We were pushing Mythic. In the content at the time. We'd been running Heroic on basically easy mode for us for weeks, but we couldn't get enough people on the schedule that consistently for Mythic for a while, and so we had just started pushing Mythic. And I was like, I'm done. I love you guys, but I can't anymore. And I tried to log back in a few times. Like I would resub, or I'd like use my gold to get a token and resub. And my husband and I would play for a little bit, just casually. And then I'd get the anxiety attacks again, where like I couldn't even have it on my desktop. Which kind of broke my heart, because that's where my community was, and that's where my friends were. And so I still talk to people on like BattleNet and stuff, and on Twitter, and but I could not log in. So about 2 months ago, my 19-year-old son, who we trained him as our off tank, he was our blood DK off tank with my husband as a pally tank at 11 years old. So we had our whole like our whole raid. It was like my son, my husband, and me, and we were like basically running the show. He's in enlistment limbo now for the Navy. He's working. His girlfriend's in Army boot camp, so he has time again. You know, he's got time again where he can do stuff. And he's like, I kind of feel like playing WoW. I was like, are you serious? Because you haven't touched it in like 5 years. He's like, no, I really feel like playing WoW. And he loves old content. So we would go and, you know, just do MOG runs. He loves ICC. Mm-hmm. Loves ICC. He'd do it 15 times if he could. You know, to 15 times a week if he could. So he started playing, and my husband like got his computer all fixed up. My husband builds computers, so he was basically Frankensteining parts to upgrade it so it could keep up with the new content. And my husband was in there setting the game up for my son, and he started playing. And he disappeared. I didn't see him for like 3 hours. I was prepping for classes or something, and I looked down and realized that he hadn't been back in the room in like 3 hours. I was like, okay. So I went looking for him, and he's on his freaking, he's on my son's DK, having a blast, questing for stuff. And I was like, dude, are you serious? He goes, what? I'm not doing anything. I was like, you are such a child. So he's like, I'm not doing anything. And then he comes out and he goes, I kind of want to play WoW again. I was like, are you kidding me? Because like, you were the one who quit first and said, he goes, I just didn't ever offer to play again because you had such issues with it. I always enjoyed playing it, but for a long time you had so many issues, so I just didn't bring it up. I was like, if you wanted to play, just play. He goes, but it's no fun to play by myself. I was like, well, that's, you know, that's kind of my line, but sure. Because I said that to him for a year and a half after he quit. It's no fun to play by myself. And so he got BFA and bought a 6-month subscription.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, you're really, you know, balls to the wall on this one, aren't you? He was like, what? I figured might as well, you know? Not like he doesn't have 15 other games to play. He's got, you know, all the consoles and all the games. He plays everything. He's like, oh, we can play this. I was like, okay, whatever. So I put off buying BFA. We were leveling, because all of his characters never made it through Legion. So we were playing a lot of Legion stuff. And then he's like, okay, well, we've leveled Legion stuff twice. Kind of don't want to do it again. Do you want to play, like, BFA? I'm like, well, I don't have it. So the tank that told me I needed to quit gifted me BFA.
Oh.
I was like, no. He goes, yeah. He goes, I want my healer back. So he gifted me BFA, and so when my husband's at work, I've been working on my monk and getting her. She's like 398 eye level now, and
nice.
I just haven't done any of the harder content. Like I've done LFR and like heroics, just because I'm like still kind of nervous over it, just because I haven't done it in so while. But you know, I've got 4 other 120s that I'm working on when my husband's home. Depending on which one he plays, I play. You know, I play. So that's it. It's still, I still got it though. Because when I do LFRs, which LFRs, you know, chaos anyway.
Yeah. But
I'm usually top 2 on the healer chart. I don't struggle in heroics, so it's nice to know that I still kind of have my rhythm down. The only time I struggle is if I have a really garbage tank. If I have a garbage tank, I get cranky, but I still heal them. But they make me mad. I'm very picky about my tanks.
I think a lot of healers are, in all fairness.
I have my, like, half of my friends list are my approved tanks. Like, they're my friends. They're all approved tanks. These are people I will tank with if they ask me. So, yeah, that's like half of my friends list. Those are all my extra pocket tanks.
Do you think that in due time, if you get a little bit more into the whole raiding again, do you think you'd want to go back to raid leading?
Possibly. I don't know if I have the brain power for it anymore. My new work schedule is like, because I'm not a morning person, and getting up at 4:30 in the morning to teach adorable but crazy energetic kids English is not, it milks every bit of juice from my brain. So I could never do late night raids again, because I'm like an old lady now. I go to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I used to raid all night long. So I could never do evening raids again because I'm just too exhausted. Maybe when the grandson starts school officially, because I watch him in the evenings because my daughter works. I do miss it. I miss raid leading. I miss raiding in general, like the camaraderie and stuff like that. If I ever raid led again, it would definitely be casual and for fun, because when it stops being fun, I can't do it anymore, because I started playing this as a way to have fun outside of my insular bubble that I had been stuck in for a while, and when it's not fun anymore, I don't want to play.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Do you have any tips for those people out there, whether they're girls or guys, who want to start raid leading? What would be your tip to them?
First of all, play as many classes as you possibly can. Because you don't know the strengths and weaknesses of your raiders if you don't know what their class can and cannot do. I will never, ever, ever tell a warlock how to play, because I only dabble it. I will find somebody else who is really good at a warlock and say, look, this is what's going on in our raid. How could they be better? And that's really that, and priests. Those are my two that I don't really play. I have them, but I don't really play them. So the first thing is play as many classes as you can, even just so you get a basic understanding of what their capabilities are. Secondly, when you build a raid, build it with people who are teachable. Attitude will kill a raid. Ego will kill a raid faster than anything else. If they give you lip, if they give you attitude, if they act like they're better because their gear score is higher, show them the door. 100%. Because when you're building a raid team, you want people that are going to work together towards a common goal. And if somebody thinks that they're better than the rest of the team, well, I should do this because I have highest DPS. Well, that's not really how building a raid works. If you have somebody who's trying and needs the gear, they're getting the gear first. Because, you already have the gear and you're already doing triple the DPS of this person who could do better if they had gear. So find teachable people and people who are willing to work together towards a common goal. And really figure out what your strength is. Not everybody can raid lead as a healer. Not everybody can do it. It is hard. Not everybody can raid lead as a tank. Some people do amazing raid leading as a DPS, which is crazy because they're, so busy staying out of shit so they don't get yelled at by the healer. But it's really figure out what your strength is and making sure that you don't try to do it all yourself. Find people that you can rely on. Find a second in command who you can say, okay, I need you to do this. And the biggest thing is really take care of yourself. If you're getting stressed, take a break. Put somebody else in charge. It's the hardest thing on the planet to do, is to sit out and say, I need to take tonight off. I need somebody else to heal. We can rotate out. I just want to pew pew tonight. Right? Let me stand and shit and get yelled at. I don't care. I just want to blow things up. But you got to take care of yourself. And also don't talk down to people. I think that's a big thing. I always kind of think that's an afterthought to me because it's just part of who I am. You can't talk down to people when you're raiding. I say please. My raiders used to just harass me to no end because every single thing I said to the raid group, I said please. Every time when I was giving instructions, okay, so and so, please move to your right. You're in something. So and so, okay, guys, we've got a CC. Please turn around. The flashlight, the stupid flashlight ones that made you go disoriented. And I say please all of the time. Now that's not everybody's style. That's cool. But don't yell at people. Don't berate them. You're not going to build a team. Some people thrive in that. I'm not one of them. Most people aren't.
It creates for hilarious YouTube videos because that just reminds you of that guy who raid lit in what was it, Onyxia? With
Yes.
the 4 dots. I don't think anyone wants to be associated.
No. No, more dots. That one, is that the one you're?
That one.
Yes, I was actually, that was current content for me when I was playing. And so when that came out, I mean, it was a big deal because our raid leader, like when we started raiding, was like that. And I was like, is that so-and-so? Because sure sounds like so-and-so. And I'm like, I can't raid like that. I get anxious, there's already enough stuff going on. I don't need somebody yelling at me. Not to mention, I'm an adult. I'm not going to have an 18-year-old yelling at me. Right?
No, I feel that.
It's like, I am too old for your shenanigans. You don't have enough hair on your chest to talk down to me. Now, if you want to say, hey, Reina, could you please do such and such? Absolutely. I'll do it in a heartbeat. But you yell at me to do something, you'll see your healer leave.
Yeah, I think it's setting that kind of atmosphere immediately, isn't it? You could just feel
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have experienced that many a times in raids, unfortunately. Not that I'm raiding at the moment, but what I hear from my guild is that everyone is really chilled. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Reina, do you have anything else about your main topic that you would like to put out there before I jump to our normal questions?
No, I think I talked the ear off of that one.
That's a good thing. That's why I let people always pick their subjects.
I can talk about anything if you give me enough rope to hang myself. I can do it.
You know what? I love that in a guest, so I'm always happy with that. Okay, well, let's jump into the other questions, all regarding a BFA. So you said you've come back for about, what is it, 2-3 months now?
I just had my second renew on my sub, so I'm working into month 3 at this point.
Okay, so in that short period, what are you most impressed with in the current state of BFA, and what are you least impressed with?
Okay, the very first thing is, thank God there's no more artifact weapons. I was so sick of those things, especially multiple classes, multiple tunes, multiple specs. That was a lot of my burnout, was trying to keep all of the characters that I played up to speed on artifact power because they weren't relevant otherwise. Yeah. So thank you, Blizzard, for getting rid of the artifact weapons. That was nonsense, and it was a bad decision. Like, I understand, like, the idea of it was cool, but it was not cool. It was not cool. It was great if you only played one character. But
I think it was very, very stressful on Alcoholics to get everything done.
Oh, yeah, because I am 100... I have max level characters on my account. I can't make any more unless I delete. So that's 50.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like the ultimate... I don't play all of them, obviously, but I am the ultimate alcoholic. So, because I need variety. So, I'm impressed that they got rid of that. Thank you. Hallelujah. I really do enjoy a lot of the zones. I like the fact that there is definitely a story in these quests now. It's not just go kill 10 rats. Obviously, we're still going killing 10 rats, but there's a reason why we're doing it much more clearly now than some of the other, like, the reasons were there in some of the quests before, but it wasn't so obvious how they were all kind of tied to the story. So I do appreciate that. I don't feel like I'm just doing random shit because they told me to. So that's definitely better. What I am not super happy with is, and this might make me sound like an elitist, but I hope not, because I totally am not. It's been dumbed down so much, playstyle. I'm so bored with my rotations. Like, there's nothing for me to do to make it more complex. I started playing where, we had the talent trees, and I picked the tree I wanted for my playstyle, and I don't care if all of the simulations said it's a garbage talent. I don't care. I played it. That's how my playstyle was, and it benefited me overall, and I enjoyed my characters a lot more when it felt like I was more in control of how it was built and developed.
That makes me wonder, are you going to jump back into Classic when that comes out next month?
We've been debating it because, you know, we did play it, and my husband actually played on a free Classic server, and he loved it. But it's like, you know, I got the invite for the beta, but I didn't have time to play at the point. Just I had too many other things going on, and he played it for a little bit, and he was laughing. He's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh yeah, I forgot about this." And to see all of the posts about people saying, you know, well, you can't do this, and this is the only class that could do this, it just makes me laugh because of the nostalgia. They're like, oh, it was so awesome, but man, it was a grind to get through. Gold was a nightmare to get. You had to run everywhere, which was bogus. I'm so spoiled now. I don't have flying yet in BFA, and I am losing my mind. I cannot stand running everywhere, even on a mount. And so I might just, you know, for shits and giggles, but I don't know if I'll, you know, spend a whole lot of time there. Because I do like a lot of the changes and advancements in the game. However, there are a lot of things I definitely miss about. I think kind of the high point in the game for me was around Wrath.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the class, the character, the mechanics. I mean, obviously there were some things that weren't great, but Wrath for me was kind of the high point. And then a lot of the changes that came afterwards, some of them were good, some of them weren't great. But I really did enjoy, like, Wrath was great for me. I loved Wrath.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with you on that, because I remember I played my Resto Druid back then, and I remember that I actually really, really enjoyed Resto Druid and how powerful they felt back in that time. I haven't really had that anymore with Resto Druid, so no, I kind of get where you're coming from. So say that they would go, okay, well, we're doing Classic now, and then we're going to Burning Crusade and then Wrath, then it might become a different thing to you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that if I could play like Wrath style again, I probably would. However, I couldn't play my monk, and so I would be sad because I love my monk.
Yeah.
And so that would be, I would definitely go back Resto Druid, because that's what I was maining. I mained Resto Druid until Pandaria came out, and we came back from our first break, our break of about 18 months. And then I started playing Panda Monk, and I've been a main monk ever since. So that would be the one thing that really kept me from going full bore in a Wrath remake, would be that I didn't have my monk to play. But I loved my Resto Druid. That was the one that I was solo healing on. You know, because I was so overgeared at that point because we raided so much. That's why I was like, you know, I would be training low level healers, but my Resto Druid, I'm healing a full 25 minute heroics, and I did feel powerful. So that was kind of the high point, I think, for Resto Druids. It was during Wrath. It was very fun. It was very fun. I
absolutely agree. Okay. Even though you've played not for a very long time, but perhaps for someone who has just come back into BFA, for some of us, you know, that is a while ago now, do you have any good tips for the listeners regarding this latest expansion? Just maybe something that you've discovered, or you're like, actually, you know what, this, maybe people have not noticed that, or this really helped me, or...
I think that make sure you do your tables for the Azurite power, just because, I mean, you're going to keep getting buffs on the gear. I do like that they did the Azurite power versus a weapon, because I like having different weapons and figuring out. But do all the quests. There are so many people who like skip all the quests, especially on like alts. Do all the quests, even the side ones, because you may feel like you're like wasting your time, but you don't get a full picture of the story and the gameplay unless you do all the side quests too. The only one don't do the stupid horse show one. That is the dumbest quest on the planet. I hate that thing. I did the 150 and that was it. See you later, Norrington. I'm never ever coming to see horses again. That was dumb. I don't like that quest. Don't do that quest.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on that 300 points one. I'm like, no.
I abandoned it. I'm like, bye. I don't have enough room in my log for you. So, yeah.
Fair
that
enough.
one stuck an egg. But do all the quests. Do all of the quests. Don't rush through, because, you know, so many people, especially when they start late, they're like, oh, I want to rush through so I can do end content. Yeah, and content's good, but if you don't do all of the other stuff, you can't appreciate it. It's a game. It's meant to be explored. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be figured out. You're supposed to go and see if the waterfalls have caves behind them. You're supposed to look in the water, down in the ponds. Is there a cave under there? Is it a hidden spot? This game is so immersive and open and created so beautifully in so many ways that if you just hit the main storyline and run through it, you are missing so much. So if you're gonna play it, play it.
That's a very, very good tip, I think. Right, Reina, you've already said a little bit about community and what it has meant to you, because you said that community was like family for you. So tell us a little bit about what community has meant to you personally.
So overall Warcraft community, I'm not super involved just because I don't have time for it. I follow people on Twitter. Occasionally I'll pop on Twitch to see somebody streaming mechanic raid, whatever. But I'm not really involved in the celebs I'm not that part of the community. I could care less about. It's cool to kind of get information, but that's not my thing. It's the connections that I make with people with similar interests, similar personalities or goals. And that for me is having connections with people all over the world is mind-blowing to me. And people that I can talk to, pick up and have a conversation with, whether we're playing a game or not. It's a really, so many people that play WoW, specifically WoW, because I can't really speak to some of the other Blizzard games, but so many people that play WoW really do put their heart and soul into being as genuine as they can be when they play. I don't know how to be anything other than genuine. I am not a faker online. Mm-hmm. How I am is how I am. I can't fake anything except confidence. That's it. So, but the fact that I have people all over the world, all over the continent, all over the world, that I can shoot a comment to, have a conversation with, that will say, hey, Reina, you want to raid with me? Or, hey, we're doing some Mythic Pluses. You want to come? And it's like hanging out with old friends, even though I don't get to sit next to them, which if I could, my dream job would be have an RV with my photography equipment where I could drive anywhere I wanted or fly, take overseas, go anywhere I wanted, photograph people and meet all of these people that I have met through the WoW community.
Wow.
Some of these people are so freaking cool. And I would love to photograph them, meet them face to face, sit and have a drink, eat fun food with, and just really communicate physically as well as virtually, because it's nice. It's nice to have that connection. Mm-hmm. One of my best friends in the world I made through WoW. I actually have his handwriting in a tattoo on my arm from when I was going through the really bad depression, spiraling depression. And he would message me every single day and remind me that I needed to make peace and find solace so I could function. And so I now have that tattooed in his handwriting on my arm. I've never met him face to face, but we've been friends for 4 years.
That's really nice. That's really nice to hear.
So that's for me, that's what the community is. It's making connections with people that you may never ever have met otherwise, especially living in a town like I do or like you do, mm-hmm. where there's not a lot of WoW players in my community, at least not ones that are open about it, because it's not a thing that people they don't even have stable internet for I had to get a business internet. I had to get business internet to be able to have function, because I teach online, mm-hmm. so I have to have stable internet. But just to be able to play, I had to get business class internet.
Wow.
So yeah, we got people who have no internet. My husband, when I met him, was playing games out of his truck, parked on his boss's pasture with a 100-foot long extension cord and Ethernet cord running into their house because it was the only place he could get internet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Yeah. So, because he couldn't get it at his parents' house, he couldn't get it where he lived, in order to play, and he was a gamer. They had LAN parties here in town, but it wasn't very often. From the time he was like 14 years old, he'd go to them. But I think I popped my yoga ball. It just me. Whee! I just noticed it was a lot less squishy than it should have been. But yeah, that was the only place you could get internet. So there's not a lot of people that game here because they don't have the capability to. So being able to connect with other people with similar interests all over the world it's been a lifesaver to me in some ways. Which, it sounds weird, but like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have said that without people looking at you like you'd lost your mind. But now I think it's a lot more of the norm.
And I think a lot of people will actually agree with that. I think especially people who play online games or are in that online community, whether it's like Elder Scrolls or World of Warcraft or any of the other games. I think there's a lot of people out there who have their community built up from that. So no, I completely get where you're coming from. Right, Reina, we're going to the weird question. For those who don't know, this is the question called what is your whisper? Now, a whisper can be basically anything. It's what do you want to put out there, are you wishing for something special in game to happen, story-wise maybe, or maybe a game mechanic that you would like, or just anything that you want to say and throw out there that has to do with your wishes or thoughts about the game.
So for me, I've played a lot of other games in the meantime when I wasn't playing WoW, because I still missed playing, even though I couldn't play WoW. One of the games that I played that I fell in love with the game mechanics, but I hated the fact that the only thing you could do at the end of the game was PvP or profession grind, was Black Desert Online. They have the best combat mechanics of any game I have ever played. It is it's not tab target. It's if something's standing in front of you and you make a swinging attack, anything standing in front of you is going to get hit. Because that's what would happen. If you have a scythe and you swing it in a circle around you, everybody's going to get hit. Right? Okay. So, but it's the overall combat, and it was complex. It wasn't a 5-button rotation. You really had to think about what you were doing, which weapon you were using at certain times, certain skills with certain weapons. So as a thinking player, I really enjoyed that. I would love to see some complexity come back to gameplay, specifically the combat mechanics. Specifically,
a bad wish, actually. That would make the game quite interesting. It would make it really interesting with how to play it. Yeah.
I feel like that would be a really incredible addition to the game, is to kind of tweak the game mechanics. It's just so simplified now. I understand that they were trying to gear it towards the more casual gamers, but even casual gamers like to feel like they're in control of their actions and not just the same 5-button rotation. So
I like that idea. That's a good one. I think that is definitely something to think about. And who knows, they might start implementing that.
I would love it. I would be so happy. I would be absolutely tickled pink, tickled green, because I'm a frog, or blue, because hey, I did pop my yoga ball. Sorry, I was trying to find the hole while I was talking. Okay. But yeah, I think that would be a big thing. There was something else that I actually saw somebody mention. Get rid of the gatekeeping on alts. Us alcoholics are dying. I've seen the story. Unless it's relevant to my character as an alt, like, because I'm a warrior versus a monk. Unless it's relevant, why do I gotta do it all again? I don't want to do it all again. That's why I stopped playing Legion, because I had to go through everything on every character repeatedly. I'm glad they did that skip the intro thing. That was nice. They could do it on like all of the other gatekeeping crap. That would be fabulous.
Well, who knows? I mean, they've already started doing it with those intro scenes and things like that. So who knows? Okay, very good. Reina, thank you so much. Now, my final question is always, where can people find you and everything that you do? So, especially your photography.
Thank you. My photography website is, and I will spell it slowly because my name is a lot of vowels. But it's drealael.myportfolio.com. So it's D as in David, RAEALAEL.myportfolio.com. That is where my gallery is, and some of the showcase of some of my better work that I do for clients and also for competitions and fine art. On Twitter, I do have a photography one that's linked to Drealael Portraiture, but I always forget I have it, and I never post anything business on it. So it's it's not really in existence. But I'm basically I'm the only me. So if you Google search anything with my name spelled the way it is, you're gonna find me. I'm on Instagram as Drealael Portraiture, drealael.portraiture. I'm on Facebook as Drealael. So if you spell it like that, you're gonna find me. I'm pretty easy to find. So far as my game persona, for almost everywhere, I'm La Reina Rana. I did change my battle net to blue-haired man because I had stalkers, and so I cleared out my friend list and changed my battle net. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, if you spell my name correctly, if you don't spell my name correctly, you're gonna get a whole lot of people. But if you spell my name correctly, you'll find me. I'm hard to miss. My hair's teal, and I have a weird name. So
well, what I'll make sure anyway is that we'll put the links in the show notes anyway. So if people want to see the exact spelling, because God knows I'm really bad at spelling anyway, it will all be there, and I'll have links for everyone.
Wonderful.
Right. Reina, thank you so much for being an amazing guest.
Thank you so much for having me, Sil. I appreciate it greatly.
No, it's lovely talking to you, and I hope that in the future we'll talk again.
Absolutely. I am always up for great conversation.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Reina. It was lovely talking to her. And let's discuss what you guys said on Twitter when it came to raid or guild leading, or even burnouts, and how you handled them, or if you've experienced it. So let's go to Twitter. And Fabry was the first to reply, and he said, I got burnt in Kata and now in BFA. The same reasons both times. The plot pushed the faction conflict beyond what I could stomach. I can only recommend patience and trying out other games. That's not a bad thing. If you're not happy at the moment with what is going on in game, yeah, I think having a break is the best thing. I hear a lot of people saying that they don't like the whole faction conflict, which I sometimes find surprising, because it is, and I know I don't mean to sound facetious, but it is Warcraft, and it's always been about the two factions, but maybe, I guess for some people it might just be too forced. So I can understand that. We've had a lot of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend before. So all of a sudden it has turned a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see where the story goes from here on, if we're still really going to have that heavy faction war. The Crosshair said, by noticing I'm logging in to just do dailies or some other mundane thing. That's a telltale sign that you need a break. Take a break, play another game, wait for new content. Gaming shouldn't be a job after all. I can't really prevent it, but with any game, just moderation. And I think that is a really good tip. Kristen said, I find I get burnt out after a few months of playing practically non-stop, without playing any other games. So I tend to go to games like Rift and Guild Wars 2. When that happens, and it always makes me miss playing WoW. That's not a bad idea. I tend to do that as well. Sometimes I start dabbling a little bit in other games. I think my guilty pleasure is always Elder Scrolls Online, because, you know, Khajiit. Tom said, Tom from the lovely Blue Recluse said, I think I did it once back in Zul'Gurub in Vanilla. Our normal raid leader was on holiday and I decided to step up. I was nervous as heck, but we cleared a few bosses, including the Raptor boss, which was one of the trickier ones back then. In regards to the burnout, he said, I found, especially in Legion and BFA, reading complaints about the game seems to just fast track my burnout. It's easy to get caught in a web of negativity that you can't see a reason to play anymore. Distancing yourself from that can help you enjoy the game the way you want to. Yeah, I agree. I think when you constantly hear people bash something that you really enjoy, or maybe even if you're on the brink of I'm not really enjoying it, and then people are more and more negative, it could spiral out of control. So sometimes it's just best to remove yourself. The Protodin said, personally, I always say if you want to do it, do it. If you feel any dread, try to find out why and mix it up. Make a new alt, learn a new role. Or more importantly, make a tune for fun on a brand new server. Try to find some friends to hang out with that are outside the norm. I want to know what you mean with outside the norm. What would that be? Are you thinking of people you would normally never talk to, or just people that you don't really know, so outside of your friend group already? Yeah, I'm curious about that. Jordan said, I've gotten burnout from playing too much WoW, in which toning it down for a week works. I've also been burnt out from playing for a while and then becoming bored, in which a month-long break works wonders. He continues to say that he led 2 RP guilds. First one was a dumpster fire because the lore just didn't work. The second was passed to me and I had already been pretty wrecked beforehand. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jordan. Parasite said, I took a 2-year break, just came back and I'm having a blast. The storyline is great, the cutscenes are amazing, Nazjatar is huge, and I haven't gotten to Mechagon yet. I'm happy that you haven't experienced any burnout then. But yeah, if you take a break for 2 years, then it could probably feel really fresh for you at the moment. Wayne said in regards to the burnout, when I get like that, I take a few months off. Sai said, I haven't led a raid, but I filled in for heal lead a few times. We won, but I think I aged about 5 years in the process. Yeah, I don't envy you there. Mez said, the burnout was real during Pandaria. It was a good expansion, so good I leveled 6 or 7 tunes to the max. Doing dailies on all of them, I just reached a point where I was done. I quit the week before WOT dropped. Came back when Legion was announced, don't try to do everything. Now I just play the tunes I like and do the content that appeal to me. If a world quest gives me what I want, I'll do it. I'll sometimes LFR. I tend to not do mythics. I've spammed islands enough that I tend to not do those much either now, and I've outgeared the war fronts. So now I'm leveling baby tunes. Having fun in zones I haven't seen in years. That's the key. Find something fun in the game to do. Who cares if you are the only one doing it? It's your $15. Or, pounds or euros. Play the way you want and have fun. Otherwise, Guild Wars 2 is free to play and it's pretty too. I think you still have to pay for Guild Wars though, but yeah, you don't have to pay a sub. He continues, or she continues, eventually you'll decide if you want to go back to WoW or not. There's enough other games out there to take a break with. I mean, even TV shows, you don't watch every time you turn the TV on. You watch other things. Should be the same for gaming as well. Sorry for the ramble. None at all. I don't think that's rambling. I think it's very, very clever. I think that's very, very true. In regards to TV, I have to admit, when I get into a certain show, I might have to watch it every night if it's on. I'm looking at you, Love Island. Don't judge me. I love trash TV. So, Anyhow, Nocta said, I think it's Nocta, said, quit after Aldir, came back with a large group of friends, been having a blast. I'm so happy to hear that. That's really, really good. Adorkable, that's such a cute name, I like that, said, I've had a few, but none compares to the one caused by this expansion. I battle it a bit off by going after achievements and mounts from previous expansions. Having an amazing guild or group of friends to play with also helps. Very, very true. Angel said, burnout back in Kata, I was raid tanking for 2 different raid groups, both factions, and the constant tells of, hey, come tank X, got under my skin. I've learned to tell people no, and I stick to raiding with only one faction. Playing other games and not WoW every day also helps. Yeah, I think it does help a lot, because I can see how you're being spread thin then at that point. Kedlin313 said, I played Legion so hard that by the time BFA came out, I was destroyed. I managed to hit 120, then fizzled down to a couple of hours a month. I'm just about keeping on top of the campaign, not doing much else right now, though I wish BFA gave me the same feels as Legion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Bolfra said, I stop for a while and play other games like Neverwinter. When I'm ready, I go back home to WoW. That's not a bad thing. Regarding the raid leading, Trimble said once, never again. I'm much happier being the one that gets to sit back and not listen to whining. Yeah, I couldn't raid lead. Unfortunately, I don't think I could. I don't have the patience in the calm. And that was it. Those were all your answers to the questions for this week. And again, thank you for all the leveling tips as well, because you guys were my emotional support. I also want to give a little shout out to Stormy Steph, who sent me a lovely tweet which read, I recently discovered your podcast and have really enjoyed listening. Thank you so much. I really, really am happy with seeing so many new listeners and honestly, I've already sent out a tweet, but I wanted to thank you guys on the podcast as well. I've seen the numbers go up a lot, and it's not always about the numbers, but it's nice knowing that people actually listen to your show. So yeah, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it, and I think it's lovely that I've got to know so many more people, and I've talked to so many more new people. And yeah, I hope that you guys will continue to enjoy this show. I can but do my best, I guess, even though it is contained chaos at times, as I like to call it. So that's it. I will not, keep rambling now. I think I've rambled enough. So I will just close with where you can find the show and how you can get into touch with me if you want to become an awesome guest, or if you want to follow the Twitter questions and all those things. So you can find the show, of course, where the show is in the show notes. You can find that on whispersofwar.podbean.com. That's where all the old shows are. Twitter at whispers_of_war. You can also find my personal one, which is MacMonkeys with a Z. It is private, but it's hardly that I won't accept you unless you send me dick pics or something like that. Then yeah, no. Anyhow, or spreadsheets. That's also something that's a no. Email, of course, if you want to use it, and no one really uses it anymore, is whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. And Twitch, yeah, it still hasn't happened because no one needs to see a very sick Sil on TV. No one needs to see that. That's on twitch.tv/monkeys with 2 Zs. I am so original with that. And that's really it. I just want to say that the little Murlocs who have now been dubbed to water dragons are doing great. They now have names. I've named them after lake monsters. One is called Nessie, the other is called Champ. So, that's my creativity. The Murlocs just didn't work. Anyhow, enough rambling. Thank you all for the downloads. Thank you for all your support. Have a lovely time in Azeroth, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.